Hey guys, this is Sean McCleary out of Naples, Florida, and I'm going to talk to you guys about some important information. It has to do with alien invasion and UFO sightings. I do extensive work in metaphysics, and recently I've been working on the Roswell incident and Area 51 and the crash landing and the alien artifacts that they introduced to the public back in 1947. What happened was, first of all, I want to say this that I'm an American citizen. I support the American government in the most powerful way, and there's a reason why this happened, and I'm going to explain that also as well. Hiroshima was bombed in 1945, and they were not sure about atomic technology back then or what radiation would do to the atmosphere. The Roswell incident was introduced in 1947 and publicized, and the reason that they did that was because they wanted to start doing nuclear arms testing. The Cold War started happening, and the nuclear arms race began. And they introduced most likely introduced the fictitious alien remains and the UFO crash landing because if something happened to the Earth's environment or something started happening to life form here, they could shift the focus off of themselves and put that on the fact that that aliens were introducing radiation from outer space. Like I said, I'm going to explain why they did that also. The reason that they did that was, and also there's been a lot of UFO sightings that I researched in Hiroshima as well. The reason that they did this was so there wasn't, if people started finding out that because of nuclear testing, that the Earth's environment was being destroyed and it was affecting people and life, there would be an extreme political revolt. And the government has to maintain order with the American people in the most powerful way. And the American government is the most powerful governmental agency in the world. And so they actually did this to protect themselves, which is a good thing. And also, I was going to say there has been a lot of UFO sightings in the Midwest. People are probably most familiar with the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Fire in the Sky. And that's the reason why that a lot of people have seen UFO sightings in the West, and I'm going to say this, most likely they probably have some form of technology because technology has increased and advanced over the last 40 years or so, where they can produce different effects that produce something similar to UFO sightings, and it just has to do with their concern that radioactive material can start affecting the Earth's environment and the Earth's atmosphere. And this is they did this to protect themselves. And I'm going to explain why that can't happen. All right. I know this is powerful information here. I'm going to explain why that can't happen. I said I do extensive work in metaphysics, and all consciousness and energy is connected here. The Higgs field is universal consciousness and energy. It is here. It is attached to planet Earth and all life form here to help everything evolve. All life form, when it experiences the phenomenon of death, it transfers away from planet Earth into the whirlpool galaxy where God's home is located at. It's directly connected there. But the reason that this can't happen, the reason that alien invasion cannot happen here, is two primary reasons. The first one is because all consciousness and energy is connected here. The two most powerful forms of consciousness and energy here are life and death. Life and death are happening here within fractions of a second. And I'm not just talking about human beings. I'm talking about every living organism on planet Earth. Life is happening at a lot faster fractions of a second, and death is happening and consciousness is transferring into the whirlpool galaxy. Now, because death, and I'm talking about the phenomenon of death, death is the evolution of consciousness. The phenomenon of death, or the consciousness and energy of death that's contained within and around planet Earth, is actually protecting planet Earth, because planet Earth is the birthplace of recreation, and the paradigm shift is happening here. So the consciousness and energy of death is attached to, and it's attached to planet Earth, and it's attached to the Higgs field here, and it is for all living organisms protection here. That's the one of the primary reasons why we can't be invaded by any other life form, is because that permeates throughout the Milky Way galaxy and even up to the fifth dimension. Because when human beings or animals or living organisms experience the phenomenon of death, they take that with them, with their consciousness with them, and they contain that there. So actually, the third to up to the fifth dimension is protected by life and death in the most powerful way. The other reason is because Earth is on a 24-hour rotation. Earth, as far as day and night, day and night happens here every 24 hours in different places in the world. The time zones are different. But what happens is light and dark energy are absorbed by planet Earth and every living organism here. Light and dark energy are polar opposites, and when they come together and integrate with each other together, they create an enormous amount of pressure. And this pressure is contained within planet Earth, and it's also contained between the third and fifth dimensions because of the activity happening. And that protects planet Earth's atmosphere, that protects existence and the Higgs field between the third and fifth dimensions, which is God's home. And so that means that an alien ship can't even get close to planet Earth. It's protected by that pressure system. Another thing that I do want to talk about as well is that the reason that scientists, even with the most powerful equipment, cannot detect other life form in existence. You probably heard before that human beings use 10% of their brains, which actually means, and it's very simple to understand this, is that as far as perception in a very powerful way, human beings can only detect 10% of what's happening in existence. The reason is because human beings' consciousness is attached to the Higgs field, and the Higgs field is attached to existence and all living organisms and all life form in existence. I'm going to say this, and there's nothing to fear about this because planet Earth is protected, but there is extraterrestrial life form or other life form contained all over existence, but human beings just aren't able to detect that or see that because they only use 10% of their brains. The reason that there has to be life form contained all over existence is because evolution has to facilitate the production of the four basic ingredients, the four primary ingredients that were introduced into existence within creation, and that is consciousness, light energy, dark energy, and pressure. These four primary elements facilitate evolution on a macro level. This is why the universe is accelerating and expanding, is because the integration of light energy and dark energy creates pressure. So the universe is accelerating and expanding because of this reason. Now, on a micro level, planets, worlds, beings, they have to exist in existence. Existence cannot be empty, because on a micro level, according to relativity, worlds and beings have to facilitate the production of consciousness, light energy, dark energy, and pressure as well. One more thing that I'm going to talk about is that what happens when nuclear testing happens, or an atomic bomb has been dropped. Because all consciousness and energy are connected here, and there's a gigantic pressure system that's contained within planet Earth and all living organisms, the combination and the integration of light energy and dark energy within living organisms produces the element of fear. That's where fear comes from. It's a pressure system, and you can pretty much tell by human behavior that fear will either drive people together or drive them apart. Right? That comes from the fight or flight system, the fight or flight mechanism. Excuse me. Well, that fight or flight mechanism and that fear and that pressure are contained within planet Earth, and that's not just people. That's every living organism on planet Earth contains that type of pressure within themselves. So that pressure, that fear, is also contained within planet Earth, all over planet Earth, in an extremely powerful way. Like I said before, an alien or a ship couldn't even get close to planet Earth, but if they did, they would be subjected to that almost instantly, and their consciousness would be separated and their ships would be destroyed. Planet Earth has, basically kind of like the same thing as the fight or flight mechanism that human beings contain, all living organisms contain, because planet Earth supports all life here. What happened is when they did nuclear testing, or they dropped an atomic bomb, is that as soon as because the threat of nuclear warfare is an extremely frightening proposition. What happens is when they've done nuclear testing or an atomic bomb is dropped, that fight or flight mechanism that's contained within all living organisms here on planet Earth, and it's a pressure system like I explained, that transfers straight in to where the explosion occurred and starts separating subatomic and atomic particles. Subatomic and atomic particles are building blocks of consciousness and energy because life exists here. Every living organism contains subatomic and atomic particles. And so even the subatomic and atomic particles that are associated with nuclear testing or atomic bomb drops, what happens is, like I said, is that fear, that pressure transfers into those explosions almost instantly and starts separating all that consciousness and energy, which decreases the particle activity. And that's why that harmful radiation cannot stagnate within the Earth's environment and do very harmful things to life forms. That's the reason. It primarily has to do with planet Earth's fight or flight mechanism because evolution is so powerful here and evolution is happening with a paradigm shift. This phenomenon occurs because evolution has to protect itself in order for planet Earth to continue on with its own evolution. But like I said before, I'm revealing some very powerful information, and I've submitted articles to the Washington Post, the L.A. Times, the Chicago Tribune, and the New York Times on my findings and my research in metaphysics. So anyway, you guys, I just want to tell you that hang in there. Very wonderful things are happening right now. I'm working around the clock, doing a lot of extensive research and writing and submitting to some of the most powerful organizations in the world right now, letting them know about my findings with the paradigm shift. Some people call it the shift in consciousness. It is happening and it is very real right now. So you guys take care. Have a good one. Bye.